Hey guys, we are now only 2 days away from the premiere of the Obi Wan series, at least the first 2 episodes, and I'm nervous and excited. In some ways, this is really the biggest Star Wars project Lucasfilm is going to do outside the sequels, I would argue. And I think, going into the show, there's a lot more at stake than there was for something akin to the Book of Boba Fett or The Mandalorian. So this video, I just wanted to give as the title says, my thoughts, my hopes, and my fears about this series. Because I do want to see certain things, and I would really be upset if other things happened. But I'm not going to be too nitpicky about that. You guys know me. I try to go into these stories not wanting too much, but with a show like this that has so much importance to the Star Wars timeline, I can't help but want to see certain things. But they're not really specific, but I'll get into that in a sec. So I guess I'm a little traumatized from the Book of Boba Fett still, but the main thing I want to see in this series is that it's Obi-Wan focused. I think that's a given. This show is called Obi Wan Kenobi, but as we saw a few months ago, of these 7 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, 2 didn't really feature Boba Fett at all. One straight up didn't have him, another one showed him for one scene where he didn't say anything. I want them to be focused with this. We shouldn't be diving deep into other characters too much. I'm going to get more to that in a sec. But this should be Obi-Wan's story. Any other character that gets development, it should happen to further Obi-Wan's story. And that kind of ties into something about the prequels that I want this show to fix in a way. I don't think they should try and fix the prequels or retcon their prequels, but they should try and build on it. And one way I think they can do that is to add more emotional weight to the events of the prequels. I think one thing that Revenge of the Sith did rather poorly was show Obi-Wan's raw emotion to Anakin turning the dark side. I know a lot of people are going to say Obi-Wan's speech where he's like, you were the chosen one, you were supposed to bring balance to the Force, you were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them. I like that scene, but in a way, I want to feel like I want to see Obi-Wan not have closure with what happened with Anakin. One moment he's best friends with Anakin. Another moment he sees a recording of Anakin killing a bunch of Jedi, kneeling to Palpatine. Then he confronts Anakin and supposedly hasn't seen him for 10 years. I want him to get closure in this series. Maybe he begins the series still really frustrated. At this point, I think he even says in one of the trailers, it's been 10 years since the fall of the Jedi. That's the life he knew. Does he blame himself significantly for what happened with Anakin? I want Obi-Wan to feel guilt. I want him to be in a really dark place to begin this series, because throughout this series, there needs to be a strong purpose other than just simply seeing Obi-Wan or simply seeing Vader. I want to see Obi-Wan go on a character arc where he begins the series depressed, angry, maybe he blames himself, maybe he blames other people. And as the series progresses through some events that I don't know what could happen, but he gains hope again, because I think that's just important about Star Wars. When we see Obi-Wan in episode 4, he's not angry, he's not bitter, he's hopeful, he wants to be there for Luke, he's willing to sacrifice himself for Luke without question. And I feel like there should be a moment, and I hope that's what the series does, where he goes from being angry to being this hopeful person, because that's human, and that's what we want in our Star Wars characters. We want to see them be human, and I think that's very important. I also want to get a stronger sense that Obi-Wan really misses Anakin in a way, because he describes themselves as brothers, but I don't want him to all of a sudden, right after Revenge of the Sith, just see Anakin as this evil man. We see him in Revenge of the Sith say that Anakin was his brother. And then in the originals, when he's talking about Anakin as a Force ghost, he's like, oh, he's more machine now than man. I want him to go through, I'm not sure if a denial stage is the right word, because it's been so long since Revenge of the Sith, but in a way just miss Anakin. And when he sees Anakin again, he's not just angry, but he's sad. He's like, this is my brother. I miss you. Maybe he doesn't need to say those exact words, but express those emotions to Vader, because they're gonna see each other. So I want, in a way, there's gonna have to be a moment where Vader and Obi-Wan are talking to each other. They're not just gonna be fighting each other the entire time. They're gonna have a conversation, and when that conversation happens, I want to see Obi-Wan just emotionally let go. Kind of not break down crying, but like just express all his thoughts, where we kind of get a better version of that conclusion to Anakin Obi-Wan story, where Obi-Wan's like, Anakin, you really were my brother. I miss you. I can't believe you did this. Maybe just done a little bit better than what happened after the Mustafar fight, just so it resonates a little bit more with me. And this may contradict what I said earlier, but not really. This show is about Obi-Wan, and I do want the show to be focused on Obi-Wan, but I also want development in other characters as well. I just don't want the other characters to be the focus. I want to see a little bit of development from Anakin/Vader, I'm curious to see if they'll actually give us moments where we're just seeing Vader by himself and not simply getting his arms put on. Like, where he kind of just reflects, does he show any remorse for what he did? Does he miss Obi-Wan in some ways? Is he completely just filled with 100% hatred? I just don't buy that's what Vader is going to be like. At the end of the day, he's going to give into his hate and anger, but I just want maybe a glimpse, the smallest bit of Anakin. When we see Vader, I just want to see a little bit of Anakin. Maybe there was some hope, because there's a key line in Return of the Jedi that at this point in the canon doesn't make sense. When Luke is trying to turn Vader back to the light side, Vader says Obi-Wan once thought as you do. And throughout Revenge of the Sith, that just isn't true. And even in the originals, Obi-Wan's telling Luke he has to kill Vader. He has to kill his father. Maybe Obi-Wan goes into the series and he's like, maybe I can bring Vader back. And then he realizes that Vader's too far gone. So it kind of gives credence to the line where Obi-Wan's like, or when Vader said Obi-Wan once thought as you do. I want to see that. One character in particular I would love to see development in is Owen. Because Owen doesn't really do much in any of the films. He's barely in Attack of the Clones. We see him in one shot in Revenge of the Sith. And then he's kind of this old, grumpy man when we see him in A New Hope. But I kind of want to get a little bit deeper into his personality, Why is he so committed to wanting to raise Luke in a way? Why does he want to keep Obi-Wan away from Luke? Obviously, the answers are that he's family and Owen would want to protect his family, but I want something a little bit more than that. Get a deeper dive into Owen and his characters. What is he really like? We haven't really gotten that in any of the movies. At the end of the day, I have all these things I would like to see. I mean, I don't want to see many specific plot points. I just want to see emotional things happen to Obi-Wan. A character arc where he finds hope, in a sense, closure about what happened in Revenge of the Sith. But at the end of the day, I also just want to be surprised in a way. I feel like a lot of Star Wars fans always go into these stories speculating, and when it doesn't go their way, they'll get upset. And if they predict everything right, they'll be so happy. But I think it's a little boring. I want to be surprised by this series in some way. I don't know in what way. I mean, that's the point of being surprised, right? Obviously, I don't want there to be stupid surprises. Like, I don't want Mace Windu to show up, and I'll get into that in a sec. Maybe I just want the story to take a bit more of a creative direction, not be so generic. My fears, one of my fears of the series. Again, I want this to be Obi-Wan focused. And there was that one quote from Rupert Friend, who plays the Grand Inquisitor, where he said, there's cameos galore, right? And Easter eggs everywhere. I don't want that. In a way, I want this story to not be so grand in scale. Obi-Wan shouldn't be seeing a bunch of people. Now, there are a few exceptions, like if Obi-Wan had a forced conversation with Yoda at one point, kind of like what Ezra had with Yoda in Season 2 of Rebels, that would make sense to me. If somehow Liam Neeson shows up and Obi-Wan has a conversation with Qui-Gon, about what happened, I would love to see that. Oh, actually, I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent now, but I guess that's the point of this video. There was a great thread left at the end of Revenge of the Sith, where Yoda's like, to Obi-Wan, I have teaching for you, where you can commune with your former master Qui-Gon. And then when we see him again in New Hope, he just knows how to become a Force ghost. So that's kind of like the payoff there. Maybe Obi-Wan is trying to communicate with Qui-Gon or some other Force ghost out there, and he's failing. And then maybe that's part of his journey. I don't know. But I would like to I don't want it to be a big focus, because I think the big focus should be Obi-Wan's emotional journey about coming to terms with what happened in Revenge of the Sith. But I would love it if he had just a little bit of development in terms of learning how to become a Force ghost, because we haven't really seen that in live action. The Clone Wars touched on that brilliantly in terms of what it means to be on the other side of the Force. So maybe just a little bit, maybe he does talk to Qui-Gon right away. And maybe when he does talk to Qui-Gon, he asks him about the prophecy. It's like, you said this guy was the chosen one, and now he killed so many Jedi. And I would love it if, maybe I'm just being too fanatical here, but if like Qui-Gon was in the series, maybe Qui-Gon's like, yeah, maybe I screwed up. Or maybe he still has hope in Anakin. And maybe that instills hope in Obi-Wan. I think that'd be really cool. But sorry, I was supposed to be talking about my fears and all that, but yeah. But I mean, really, at the end of the day, my only fears are that the show loses focus, kind of like the Book of Boba Fett did. And I guess my last point is I don't want there to be room for a second season. I know Ewan McGregor recently came out and said that he would love it if they did a second season of Obi-Wan. I just fundamentally disagree with that. Obi-Wan should be on Tatooine focused on protecting Luke. Yeah, he's going to leave Tatooine throughout the series. I hope there's a good reason why. But he shouldn't be leaving all the time. Like, this should be like a one-time thing where something really important happens where he needs to leave. But besides that, he should be on Tatooine. Unless they did a second season where he was on Tatooine the whole time. But even then, like, there's only so much you can do. And if they were to do a second season, I feel like they would have to have Obi-Wan leave again and maybe confront Vader, or maybe he confronts Maul, even though that happened in Rebels. So I don't want there to be a second season. Yeah, I love seeing Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. I do. I mean, yeah, I would love to see Hayden Christensen as Vader or Anakin again, but at the end of the day, the story of Star Wars comes first. And me seeing these characters again isn't simply going to justify their existence. I want them to be very careful. I don't want Obi-Wan doing a bunch of things that soft retcon episode 4 or 5 or 6. Although I've kind of accepted that at some point he's going to be called Obi-Wan, which kind of contradicts the line where Obi-Wan's like, oh, I haven't heard that name in a long time. But like, I guess those minor contradictions are fine, but I don't want too many big things. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but anyway, that's kind of just my rants about my hopes and fears with the series. I'm optimistic. I think I go into Star Wars a lot more optimistic than I probably should. Like, going into the Book of Boba Fett, I thought it was actually going to be really good, and that didn't happen. But yeah, this is important. This will be a very fun next 5 weeks. We also got Celebration coming up, which will be awesome. We'll see what happens, guys. Thank you everyone so much for watching another one of my videos. Stay tuned for lots of Obi-Wan content coming. Don't forget to join the Clone Squad, and I will see you guys next time.